Welcome to Fact Hub. All of this galactic travel is tiring, but we are still saddened to know we are only two planets away from completing this journey. For this world installment, we are visiting Venus. Join us on one of our last planetary escapes for 10 incredible facts about the second rock from the Sun. Discovering Venus. Except for a few planets, the discovery of most of them can be attributed to somebody. Venus is the minority in this case, with its original discovery being impossible to pinpoint, being so bright on a clear night. Venus can be visible to the naked eye, meaning that any ancient civilization could be credited with the first observation. Copernicus and Galileo are responsible for Venus' classification as a planet. At the same time, Mikhail Lomonosov has been credited with initially discovering the planet's gaseous atmosphere in 1761, a claim later verified in 1790 by astronomer Johannes Krotter, naming the bright planet though Venus has been visually observable for as long as humanity can remember. We did not always have a name to put to the face, like many of its planetary brethren. Venus received its most popular moniker via a selection of Roman gods and goddesses. In this case, Venus was named after the Roman goddess of love, a counterpart to the Greek Aphrodite. It wasn't always known as such, especially to ancient Babylonians, who recognized Venus as the star of Easter, their goddess of fertility, love, war, and sex. The symbol of womanhood has even been adopted as the symbol for this planet of love and strong women. Phosphorus, Hesperides, Lucifer, and Vesper before officially dubbed Venus. Greeks and Romans unknowingly turned Venus into two different stars. To the Greeks, Venus was both Phosphorus and Hesperus. At the same time, the Romans recognized it as a Lucifer and Vesper, but neither knew that the alleged two stars they were referencing were one body. The source of the confusion that led both civilizations to believe there was a morning star and an evening star was because, as its orbit around the sun surpasses Earth's orbit, it goes from being visible only after sunset to only being visible before sunrise. An unusual rotation here on Earth. We are used to rotating counterclockwise at a rate that gives us an approximate 24-hour day. Should we ever have to leave our home world for Venus, we would have some adjustment to get used to. One such adjustment is the planet's rotation, which is considerably slower and backward. What does that mean exactly? Well, instead of the sun rising in the east, you would get a western sunrise, and a day would be equivalent of about 8 months on Earth. It takes 224-hour Earth days for Venus to complete an orbit, and 243 days to complete a full rotation. A year on Venus is about the same length as the day on Venus. Imagine adapting to that calendar. Seeing through Venus' atmosphere, while it's entirely possible to view Venus from the surface of Earth on an obvious day, the same cannot be said for the reverse. If standing on the surface of Venus were even possible, and we will get to it why it's not in a minute, you wouldn't be able to see beyond the thick gaseous atmosphere. The opaque atmosphere comprises 96.5% carbon dioxide, 3.5% nitrogen, and a congregation of other gases, with sulfur dioxide comprising many trace elements, with an atmospheric pressure 92 times that of Earth. Penetrating the thick impervious layer has been borderline impossible for now. Average surface temperature on top of being incredibly difficult to penetrate, Venus' atmosphere adds a devilish layer to the multitude of reasons why extended landfall hasn't been possible. On average, due to the greenhouse effect from the atmospheric composition, the surface temperature of Venus keeps to a steady 462 degrees compared to Earth's average of 16 degrees. It's an astronomical difference. Due to the incredible high temperature, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system, beating out Mercury despite its closest position to the Sun. Especially Venus' atmosphere allows light from the Sun to pass through and heat the surface while keeping infrared heat from escaping. Visiting the second rock from the Sun, it may be doubtful that a human ever gets a chance to touch down on the surface of Venus, but that doesn't mean our trusty machines cannot make the trip for us. On December 15, 1970, the Soviets sent an uncrewed spacecraft, Venera 7, to the surface of Venus than 6 unsuccessful attempts. It was in fact a milestone, being the first spacecraft to ever land on a different planet and transmit information back to Earth. Transmission from the Venera 7 on Venus' surface lasted for approximately 20 minutes before the extreme temperatures and high pressure destroyed it. Since then, another 9 Venera missions have been sent along with over a dozen journeys from NASA and the European Space Agency. Earth and Venus have their differences, but in hindsight, they have some miraculously similar qualities. The first noticeable resemblance between the two is size, with Venus' diameter coming in at 7,520 miles, only 405 miles smaller than the Earth. Venus also shares relatively close numbers regarding volume, surface area, and mass, ranging between 81% and 90% of Earth's properties. Should you dig through the many layers of Venus, you will also find it to have a metal core surrounded by silica rock and a thinner crust. A sad, moonless life. While we may feel cheated out of multiple moons, Venus doesn't get to enjoy the company of a glowing natural satellite at night. Since Venus is so similar to Earth, it's often questioned why it has no moon. It's believed that Venus, like Earth, suffered a significant collision. Since such an event formed Earth-Moon, it too should have a satellite of its own. But theories point to a possible second collision that removes such a moon from the picture. The concept of a double impact would explain Venus' unusual rotation. Still, it would also make possible a change in a gravitational relationship where Venus' moon would move toward the planet, ultimately colliding with it. A tropical paradise. Venus may be scorching surface of death today, but that may not have always been the case. With a surface temperature as high as it has, it's logical that water in its liquid form would be impossible to form. But take away the incredible heat, and you have what could have been a habitable planet. Scientists like astrobiologist David believe that early Venus has come to vast oceans. However, others such as Dima Bolmatov of Cornell University hypothesize they were not as we know them. Due to the high concentration of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere, it's theorized that Venus was covered in a carbon dioxide fluid that evaporated. Okay, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have an idea for a future top 10 video, share it with us in the comment section below and look for the links below to follow us on Facebook. That's it for today. Bye for now.